Hello, beautiful you. Welcome back to Meditation Monday. Last week we talked about feeling our fears and figuring out one step that we can do to overcome them. So this week I want to kind of talk about a little bit what that fear means. Some of you may be going, well, I'm not afraid of anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So last week kind of didn't really work for you. And that's okay. Trying to get in touch with what we're feeling is kind of difficult in a Western society where we are taught to repress those feelings and put them down away so that we don't have to deal with them. We just carry on and we're fine, I'm fine. So the acronym FEAR stands for false expectations appearing real. So let me give you a couple examples. When I feel like I'm starting to freak out at my kids because they're not listening to me, I have to step back and say, okay, wait a second, what am I afraid of? And typically it's that I'm afraid I'm going to look like I'm a bad mom. I'm afraid I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid that people are going to think I'm not worthy or whatever it is. When I'm afraid in my business aspect and I'm starting to worry about who's going to come to my classes, where am I going to make my money, what am I going to do if this happens, what if this doesn't happen, and blah, blah, blah. And if I start freaking out, and I say, okay, wait, what am I afraid of? And typically it's I'm afraid that people are going to think I'm not good enough. People are going to think that I don't deserve my certifications or that I'm a failure. You know, I start coming up with these things, and typically they're all things I'm afraid of, judgments from other people. Key there. And most times they're things that I'm afraid of in the future, things that haven't even happened yet or might not ever happen. So I call that future tripping. Totally future tripping about something that may or may not even happen. So this week I want you to kind of go through your fears again. Whenever you start to feel that thing creeping up in your throat and you're like, oh my gosh, I want you to kind of go, okay, step back for a minute and say, okay, what do I expect that is not really real? What expectations that are false expectations appearing real? You know, when, especially my kids, it's like, they're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And, you know, when I can remember that, I can sit down and say, hey, listen, you know, this is the first time you're 6, and this is the first time I'm 31 and with a 6-year-old. And, you know, I'm learning too, just like you are. So let's work together. Let's be a team. And so your challenge this week is to go out, and every time you start to feel that fear creep up or that anxiety, whatever you want to call it, say, okay, step back and go, okay, false expectations appearing real. What are my expectations right now, and are they real? Is this something I really need to worry about and freak out about, or can I take a breath and go, you know what, everything's going to be okay? Because most often than not, everything will be okay. So, go out, figure out what your fear is. If you want to write it down, it helps to start to see patterns and really get to see what's going on up in here. Why am I freaking out? And then you can start to change those patterns. You can get in and you can start to breathe and you can think on them and, okay, why am I so worried about what other people think? Why am I so worried that, you know, I'm going to be a failure in my business? Why am I so worried that my kids are going to grow up and be crazy? You know, why does that really matter to me? And you can get down to the deep roots of it. And, you know, there might be something a little bit deeper there that you can work on, because it's something that we have to have control over some of these things, and a lot of them we just don't, so we have to let go. How can you let go? So when you feel these fears, write them down or step back and think and take a breath, and does this really matter? In the whole scheme of things, is it going to matter? Is it going to matter next week, next month, next year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Are you going to remember this moment? Is it really that big a deal? And can we just let it go? Take that breath and let it go. So, write down your fears, get down to the roots of them, and then try to breathe it away. Let it go. So feel free to comment below if you have any questions, comments, heartfelt concerns, and let me help you out on your journey through your fear. And join me next week for Meditation Monday, and then also this next Wednesday I will have a Wednesday workout. So you can check my website, bodyimagebuilder.com, for all of my meditations and my workouts. I even have nutrition tips on here. So, and feel free to let me know if there's any suggestions that you would like me to address that I haven't. Peace.